how do you get your ducks to go to bed at the end of the day exactly when you want them to? It's a common question, and it's a problem we had early on. We would want to put the ducks to bed when we're wrapping up for the day, but they would just want to stay out all night long until, well, it gets dark. And actually, to be honest with you, a lot of the time they want to stay out beyond when it's dark. They just want to have fun all night long outside. There's a very simple way to control this, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. The reason that your ducks don't want to go to bed at night is because they're not hungry. Come on, duckies. If you're feeding your ducks outside of the house during the day, then they simply have no reason to go in at night. They would much rather stay outside, running around, looking for bugs, and quite frankly, putting themselves at risk of getting caught by predators. They're not very smart that way. Often with poultry, what people will do is they'll put them out during the day and they'll leave a feeder there for them to snack on and free feed throughout the day, and then they'll go to bed at night. But with ducks, this is a little bit of a tricky way of doing it, because that means that by the time it gets to the night, they're not so keen on going to bed. And it might be a bit different with chickens, where they just naturally go to roost as the sun sets. With ducks, they just quite happily will just stay out all night long. So in our case, we really want to avoid feeding the ducks out in the field, and instead we just want to limit their feeding time with store-bought feed to inside the house. Another problem with feeding ducks out in the field, or any poultry, in my opinion, out in the field, is that if you leave the feeder out there, they kind of just snack all day long, and, well, there's not much incentive for them to go out and actually forage and find bugs and grubs. But there's another really important reason why you don't want to feed your ducks outside the house, and that is because of wild birds. There's no point in buying feed from the store and then putting it outside where wild birds can come and eat it. You want to save that feed for your ducks. And you also don't really want to attract too many wild birds to exactly where your flock's hanging out. They can carry disease. Something else to say that's really important is, if you're only going to feed your ducks inside the house, then you have to make sure that they get enough hours inside the house where they can eat, so that they can get the nutrition that they need to give you an egg a day. And even if you're not optimizing for laying and you're just keeping them for fun and you're not necessarily bothered about the eggs, I still recommend it's quite a good idea to make sure your ducks get enough time indoors to feed on the feed that you buy from the store. Because the feed you buy from the store has more carbohydrates and calories in it available for the ducks. Whereas the forage that they're going to get from the field or from your garden is going to be mainly protein and fat that they get from bugs. They're not going to find many carbohydrates out in the field, and they can't subsist on grass or green plants. So, wild ducks are a different story, different situation in terms of where they'd get their calories. But for your domestic ducks, it is important to keep them inside the house long enough to feed and get the calories they need from that store-bought feed. So in our situation, we tend to let our ducks out at about 10 a.m. in the morning, and then we put them to bed at around about 6 p.m. So that gives them a good 8 hours of free-ranging time outside, and the rest of the time they're indoors and they're snacking and feeding on their food, and they're also swimming in their ponds. They've got a lot of space in our house here. We make sure that our ducks have way more space than the usual requirement for poultry housing, and that is because we want them to have a comfortable space inside where they have paddle pools that they can swim in, and they've got their continuous feeder, and they've got a drinker, and they've got nest boxes as well, and plenty of space to run around, and they've got also, quite importantly, shade and windbreak. So 8 hours is plenty of time for them to have outside, and giving them a nice cool space to rest and feed for the rest of the time is actually a good idea. And most importantly, it means that they're not going to mess you around at night. When I put my ducks to bed at around 6 o'clock, they are ready and waiting for me, and they want to go back inside. They want to chill out. They want to have a swim in their paddle pools, and they want to snack in their feeders. So that is how you make sure your ducks go to bed every night, and it's also how to make sure you have happy ducks. So I hope you found this useful. If you have, please give us a like and subscribe, and obviously any comments or questions, please just leave them below. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.